Morning, peace and blessings. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless, and I'm back with another video. I know it's been a minute since I came with an update. I've been covering the war daily. Um, my apologies for not being as consistent with these updates, but a couple of reasons for that is, for one, um, it kind of serves no purpose to be daily with these updates because they tend to so much changes overnight and nothing really significantly changes except for weekly. I think that it's uh more accurate when you do it on a weekly basis, but I watch it daily all day because I'm very interested in it, and it give me something to pay attention to, and to also I like to make these videos to document for myself so I could go back and listen to details that I may forgot. And also another reason why I haven't been doing as much videos is because I'm getting near to releasing my album. Yes, my new album will be releasing. The projected date is June 20th. So it'll be in about 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, when I'll be releasing my album. So I've been working very hard on that. And once that's completed, um, I'll be, able to come with more content. But I appreciate everybody that's been sticking with me. And, please like, share, and, spread the word and subscribe if you come across this for the first time. Okay, let's get to it. So the last time we spoke about what happened last week with the situation in Iran, the United States was on the brink of going back to military strikes on Iran, and three nations specifically came to the United States and basically pleaded with President Trump to not strike Iran because they were able to negotiate a deal and give them a couple of days and all of that. Well, since then, uh, that hasn't happened. You know what I'm saying? It kind of sort of happened, but we're gonna get to it. Current reporting suggests the ceasefire remains in place, but there are reports of new U.S. strikes, fresh sanctions on Iran, and ongoing negotiations over a possible 60-day extension for the ceasefire, creating uncertainty about whether the truce will hold. So right now, there is a 60-day truce that is being negotiated. I think it was more so uh, on Iran's terms, but Trump is still seeing if he's going to agree to it or not. That was as of yesterday. I heard that Trump said, "Well, let me sleep on it," you know, because these guys, they say they want to make a deal and then they do other things, right? But and then it's also, and I've always said, when you think about Iran, their government, their leadership is totally different from ours. For one, um, two or three waves of leadership have been wiped out in this conflict since it started. When the first strikes a couple months ago, when we started the military campaign, it wiped out the original Ayatollah and his regime, and then there was another group, they wiped them out, and now we're dealing with these other guys, and it's three or four different forms of leadership. You got the elected officials on one end, that's like the political aspect, the president of Iran, and his administration. And then you have the IRGC, which is the more radical um, Islamic group that has all the, military weapons. And then you have the clerics, or however you pronounce it. So it's another, it's like three or four different people that are making decisions. So when we're negotiating, it's kind of hard to know who got the juice, who can really speak for the whole country. If that's why you hear the president come out and say, "Okay, we got a deal." And then they backfire. Or we going back to military strikes. And then we still got the blockade going on the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran got their blockade going on. So it's a lot going on. But uh, yeah, like I said, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan asked Trump to hold off on bombing since the last time we spoke. Trump agreed to work, so Iran and them could work out a deal. Now, this is the disingenuousness of Iran. While we were negotiating a deal, per Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, you know, Saudi Arabia, by their request, Iran was putting more sea mines in the sea. They were dumping more sea mines in the sea in the Strait of Hormuz while we were negotiating, which was, clearly a breach of the ceasefire. Because if you putting sea mines in the water, that's part of the one of the key things that we have on the table that off limits. You cannot block the Strait of Hormuz. So they putting these sea mines in, trying to force other people to pay fines to pay tolls and things of that nature. We're not going to agree to nothing like that. So when the U.S. Navy spotted these little ships, which Iran calls their mosquito fleet, which are these fast little speedboats that got one little missile on them, and they got AK-47s, because the rest of their military, their navy, has been obliterated by the United States Navy. So all they got left is these little speedboats. When they started landing sea mines, the United States Navy blew those little ships up, and Iran fired missiles in retaliation at the United States Air Force and Navy ships. Once they fired, the United States returned fire at their missile launching station as well. See, they got these missile launching stations in these caves in these mountains that we don't know exactly where they are until we spot them shooting a missile out of them. So when they peep their head out, then we know where they at. So the United States hit their missile launching station very hard, extremely hard, and Iran then shot missiles at a U.S. military base stationed in Kuwait. So we got, allies all over the Middle East. Kuwait is one of them. They just randomly shot a missile at Kuwait, which was intercepted by Kuwait. So this is a ceasefire. This ceasefire really is a joke. It's been going down ever since. It's been missiles flying. The ceasefire is like paper thin, because nothing about this this fire has been ceased. So all the missiles were shot down by Iran. So once they got hit that hard, they were ready to go back and sit down and have another conversation. That's when they presented another peace talk, or a ceasefire agreement for 60 days. That's what Trump said. He'll sleep on it. Let him think about it, right? That's where we stand right now. So one of the things that President Trump did, he's trying not to go back to military options. But at this point, and as I've stated from day one, if one thing that I'm going to be critical about Trump is, I would have never launched this war at this particular time while we're, months away from midterm. If Iran would have got a nuclear weapon, I, as you can see, if they bold enough to stop the Strait of Hormuz, which affects the whole world's economy, not just ours. You know what I'm saying? But other people, even their own. If they imagine if they had a nuclear weapon. So although I can sit here and say that I wouldn't want to start this war, I mean, obviously they got nuclear weapons because they don't want to give it up. So we knew that's the case. So I probably would have tried to wait them out, bluff them out. But then again, I'm not in the situation room to say how quick they would have got to a nuclear weapon, because obviously they would have used it. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have more leverage to imagine if they had one. The Strait of Hormuz, they would have been blocked it off. They're like, what y'all gonna do? We're gonna use the nuclear weapon. So, you gotta take that in consideration when Trump launched this campaign. But what Trump did was to try to be diplomatic about this, and I think it was just strategy. He asked he asked these nations to become a part of the Abraham Accords, right? Now, what we got to understand is the Abraham Accords are a set of historic U.S. brokered agreements signed back in 2020, back in Trump's first administration, that normalized diplomatic, economic, and cultural relations between Israel and several Arab nations. Uh, so, back this is what a lot of this is about. The difference between the Jewish people in Israel and the Arab nations. Like in Iran, the regime. Now we got to separate the Islamic regime from the Iranian people themselves. The Islamic regime took over Iran back in 1979. They totally different from the Iranian people. The Iranian people original religion is not Islam, right? But when the Islamic regime took over in 1979, it made it their law to be Islamic, right? So in their religion, it clearly says you. And this is a specific branch of Islam. Shia is Sharia law. That's why you have the hatred towards America and the United States. A lot of that is because it's in this extreme fashion or form of Islam to basically unalive anybody that's not Islamic. It's either you're gonna be a Muslim or we gonna eliminate you. This regime is an extremist form of Islam, right? So what Trump tried to do with the Abraham Accords is ease the tensions between Israel and the Western society. Like, listen, if we bring y'all into our world and share some of this economic wealth with y'all and share some of our culture and our values and come to some type of agreement that we could live in peace, where y'all won't be trying to unalive us, we won't be trying to unalive y'all. We basically get into this money, then that's a diplomatic way of resolving all this tension. And the Islamic regime has other reasoning to why they're upset at Western civilization. I've been down that road back in 1953 with the infiltration of the Shah and all that. So you can check out the videos on that. But what I want to do here is focus on the Abraham Accord, because something very interesting happened when Trump asked these nations to join the Abraham Accord, right? So now the Islamic nations, the countries who already signed the Abraham Accords were the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, uh, Kazakhstan, and Sudan. They already a part of the Abraham Accords from years ago. Now, the agreements were named after, no, this is what this is all about. The agreements were named after the biblical figure Abraham to reflect the shared heritage of the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Jewish, religion, Islam, and Christianity. So Judaism, Islam, and Christianity became Abraham. It's because Abraham is considered a foundational common ancestor for both Jewish and Arab peoples. The name was chosen to symbolize brotherhood, shared ancestry, and the interfaith harmony. So both Arab people and Jewish people recognize Abraham of the Bible as uh, an ancestral lineage. That's that they both come from Abraham. So that's the significance of the name, hence Abraham Accords. So I think this was a diplomatic effort to try to create some peace in the region, and it also would normalize diplomatic, economic, and cultural relations between Israel and the rest of these Arab nations. So Trump signed. Well, Trump just asked. Now this is where it gets interesting. He just asked Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt, and Jordan to join the Abraham Accords. Like, hey, y'all might as well join too. We in that region, and with they've been helping a lot with trying to negotiate and neutralize this conflict with Iran. That part of the world is very different. And if we could get more people to, jump aboard on our end of how we view the world and how we can, you know, capitalize economically with each other, then that'll be a diplomatic resolution. He even extended, check this out, he even extended the invitation to Iran themselves, saying that they could become a part of the Abraham Accords. Now, realistically, I don't think Saudi Arabia or you maybe Pakistan might, Qatar might, but I don't think Egypt or Jordan or Turkey or even Saudi Arabia is going to do. Now, if Saudi Arabia would do that, that would be monumental, specifically if Saudi Arabia would. But I don't think maybe only Qatar and Pakistan might consider it. But that was just like a diplomatic resolution, maybe political strategy to see if they would, if that'll throw them off. But um, while negotiations were underway, you know, Iran is being Iran, and the regime is doing what they do, and they started dropping those sea mines, and we had that conflict the other day. So, I mean, this stuff is interesting as we on the brink of this 60-day ceasefire, because what I want you to understand is Iran's strategy here. They know that they can't beat us militarily. They know that. So what they're trying to do is use political pressure and political leverage. They know that they know the political atmosphere of the United States. They know that half of the country is uh, totally against President Trump and are totally against this conflict. So they thinking if they could wait the president out with the high gas prices, with the conflict going on, lingering, eventually he's going to fold with the midterms around the corner. With Trump, I don't think that is going. I think Trump he's came out publicly and said he don't care about the midterms. He said this is something that he focused on. So meanwhile, the effects of the blockade is really devastating to Iran. Like I've said in other videos, they losing out on almost $500 million a day due to the United States blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Their oil fields and oil mines are filling up. They're putting oil in the water over there just to find empty ships to store it, because if those mines fill up and they have nowhere to put it, they can lose everything, you know, and it's no repairing it once they go to past capacity. The people of Iran is another concern. With them, their military not being able to get paid all the time. They're asking their citizens to turn off, you know, out of 10 of their lights at home. Their energy is suffering. So Trump's strategy is if I put enough economic pressure on you, eventually either you're going to cave or your people are going to get so tired they're going to revolt. So that's another thing. Trump administration is talking about arming, finding a way to use the CIA to arm the people of Iran to go up against the regime. They've been wanting to get from under this regime for the past 50 years. So uh, there is ways to arm the people. We've done that in other military strategies with other nations. I think we tried to do that, but it was intercepted by another group called the Kurds. The Kurds got the weapons, and they never made it to the Iranian citizens. When I tell you it's a different world over there, it's a different world, right? But you know, with the IRGC having all the military might, uh, that was, it's just those people are not going to rise up in this wise. But I think they are very degraded militarily, and eventually the people are waiting for the right time where they can take back their country. They tired because they slaughtered or almost 50,000 peaceful protesters. A couple months back in February, and it was devastating. And that's their family members and things of that nature. So this regime and the citizens they're worried about the uprisings from the citizens. Now the U.S. demands have remained the same. President Trump said, "Hey, you got to open up the Strait of Hormuz. You know, ain't no it's international waterways. You can't block that. You got to stop your nuclear ambitions, no nuclear weapons, and you also have to give up the nuclear uranium, enriched uranium that you have. Either we come in and extract the uranium ourselves, either we come in and destroy it right there, but you got to give that up. Those are the three demands that President Trump is not wavering on, right? So I just wanted to come with that brief update. We shall see what will be transpiring. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. Let's see if this 60-day ceasefire commences, if President Trump approves it. And eventually, hopefully, that would lead to some type of deal. Me personally, I don't think that we end this situation without going back to military operations and finishing what we started. Because if we leave the regime intact, they're just going to continue to do this. We got to get rid of them. I hate to say it, but we're going to be facing this situation very soon. Once again, they're going to be trying to rebuild the regime. And let's be clear, not the people of Iran, not the citizens, but the regime is determined to have death to America, death to Israel. So it's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. Until next time, we should see you soon. Peace and blessings.